So for the next panel, please welcome the producer and from the filmmaker crew media in Germany, Caroline Heim. Director and producer and founder at Bad Fleming Studios in Sweden and Uganda, Karim. Welcome on stage. And the screenwriter and producer in Germany and Namibia, Naomi Beukes. This panel is hosted by a wonderful and great woman from Sweden and Somalia. She's a producer and a founder and works for Camera X, Filson Ali. Welcome on stage.
I'm supposed to have the mic too. Hi everyone, welcome to the next topic, the wild ride before the red carpet of independent filmmaking. And I want to say welcome to three of you, and we're looking forward to hear what you have to say about that ride. But before we do that, I also want to emphasize that we are highlighting the OSCAR MICHEAUX pioneer independent filmmaking, of his contribution of storytelling beyond stereotypical portrayal in his early American cinema, and which is today's topic is inspired by. So I was given the privilege to present you all. So I will start with Baker. Baker, you are a Swedish director who has been working filmmaking since your debut Future for Women 2000, and as a former film commissioner in Swedish Film Institute, you're very vocal about creative argument for diversity and trying to bring in untold stories, new voices to Swedish cinema. And you currently launched your not first, you have done so many things, but your first independent feature film, The Dog, a neo-noir thriller, but you can talk more about that. And the film has been shot 2023 in Kenya and was nominated for Afro for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor. And Alexander, you took home the prize for the Best Actor. And the film has been official selection for Swedish Film Institute in Göteborg Filmfestivalen. And last week you were just up for a competition for Pan-Africa Film Festival, and tomorrow you might find out you win. Congratulations, we're rooting for you. And Caroline, welcome. You brought your baby too. Oh my God. Inspiring, I did that too back in the days. You are a producer and film crew of Media Camp. That's how you pronounce it? Okay. Here, based in Germany, and sorry. So you're all about amplifying impactful stories. You have produced documentaries, VR, across Germany and Kenya and Asia as well, and focusing a lot about social issue. And your future film, including Robin, Watch for Her Wishes, 2018, and Now We, Dear Future Me, 2024, Oscar entry, Kenya Oscar entry. Congratulations. That's huge. Yeah. And you are committed to storytelling for change. You continue developing projects tackling global challenges like water shortage, and while fostering collaboration between your company. Yes. And there we have you. Thank you, Naomi. So lovely to have you here. Naomi, you are Namibian-born Afro-German filmmaker, a writer dedicated to amplifying African voices. You started your career in national theater in Namibia during the apartheid. And you later moved to Berlin. You have spent here over 15 years creating web series highlighting social issues. And your work focused on resilience, identity, justice, with project tackling femicide, human trafficking, and intergeneration storytelling. Beautiful. And you are currently developing your first feature film in a collaboration with the Namibian Film Commissioner. Congratulations. Yeah, and yes. And amplifying African women voices through your powerful storytelling, theater, and film. So, yeah, and I am Filson Ali. I have been introduced, and this is my first time moderating, so good luck to you guys. I'm tackling my fear, so let's see how we do it. Baker, I want to start with you. As a creative director throughout your years, since you debut feature film for women, and Family Babaya, Babajo. I should know that because that's like my favorite series that you guys made in Sweden. And former commissioner and advocating for diversity, and you have been pushing boundaries a lot to fresh, untold narrative in cinema, but with your latest film, The Dog, receiving international recognition. So what was the approach, the traditional portrayal to bring like new perspective, also the journey creating this film?
Thanks, Filson. It's going great.
Thank you.
Yeah, in terms of diversity, in terms of finding...
Diversity, but also tackling Making the Dog, because it was shot 2023. What was the journey, and how did you push through this movie, through the diversity, and also filmmaking as an independent filmmaker? Yeah.
Well,
maybe it was two questions, maybe we should...
Yeah, no, but I understand the question. I think I've always wanted to make a film in Africa. I was born in Uganda, but I never really got to see it until I was like 30, 20 years ago. And I had this dream about making a film there. And for some reason, when I sat down to write a film that took place in Kampala at that time, I was going to do Kampala stories, and I was like, I had this idea. But it seemed what happened was I kept coming up against ingrained colonial ideas of how to make an African film. When I went to Uganda, my family was forced out in '75, and so they didn't really give me any knowledge about like what happened. They were kind of quiet about it, and it was a deep tragedy to them. But when I went there, thinking that I was, part of you guys, I was going to find my African roots, and I didn't find that. I found that I was more alien there than I felt in Sweden. And so I had to deal with that, like that dualism of not belonging anywhere. And maybe that's why I felt like I really wanted to tell a story there. But I was stuck in this kind of colonial mentality of making an important picture. Yeah. And there's, the issue films. And I just felt that was an extraction model. You extract a very important issue and you present it to a Western, well-meaning audience, but who love to watch those films because they feel like they've contributed to the issue by watching the film. And I just realized that I didn't want to be a part of that. And I kept mulling different ideas in my head, and how do I kind of avoid that trap? And so finally I realized that I wanted to make a film as if I were in Sweden. And I only make personal films. Like I make films that I have in my heart. And so by making a personal film, the personal becomes political. And all of a sudden I realized that by making, maybe a complex character, a character study, having the audience connect one-to-one with the character and not the issue, maybe that's a very political stance. But it's hard to get financing for something like that because there's really structures set for this extraction model where you can get funding, you can get distribution. If you're going to go do something rogue, maverick, then you finance it yourself. So I actually sold my house to make the film.
The Dog?
Yeah, because I'm not playing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the thing is, the equation is, it's not a business equation, let me tell you. It's not. But what it is putting your, if I'm going to ask other equity investors to invest, I just wanted to show that my heart was totally in it, the same way. I was not going to squander it. And also, I think that what we do matters, whatever the results are, what we do matters. Like you saw Babaju.
Yeah, oh my
at
God.
some point in time, right?
Yeah. I still wish they can still air it.
Yeah. They've reprised it a few times,
Yeah.
but making that, even though that after having made that series, I got not one more offer from Swedish industry.
Yeah.
I'd made a really huge kind of TV show.
Yeah,
I didn't get an offer from anyone anywhere after that. And it doesn't matter because I know that you love it.
I love it till today. I felt like, oh my God, this is my family. Every
time.
And it was non-stereotypical, just a regular family.
Every time I hear that from anyone, that's what matters, you know. So that's why I, pushed my own money into this, and I made the film. And we might not get any money back, but I know that it's going to matter for someone.
But no, the fact that you just did it, I think that's very inspiring. And like Alexander said earlier, like we need to change position, invest in ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's very powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Baker. And I will be back. More questions. Thank you. Okay, now it's your turn. How did you know? You can see. Thank you, Naomi. Naomi, you have worked across different medium, from theater to film and web series here in Berlin. And how does the storytelling difference across these platforms when it comes to presentation and also the diverse, the authenticity in the characters, and to create that?
I think theater provides you with a different setting, first of all, to have characters there. But because I have set out from the beginning, when I started writing, to create characters that are multidimensional and not just flat. I don't want that. I want characters that, no matter what I created, they show the whole emotional range that human beings have. And I've always tried to create that. The only thing that I think is different is theater provides you with an empty space. And I love filling empty spaces. And I think my theater pieces, also the ones that I did and that I started with, was how do I get my characters to fill this empty space so that they tell their whole range of stories. And this is what I did with, and I think this is where it difference. It doesn't different in the way that I create them. I create them always from authentic situations, from where they are. I pull them out of their environment that they grow up in and give them that. What I have to do is give them something to show on an empty space. And I did theater play here in Berlin for the 14th of February, Women's Rising, that they always do. And I had the character of a refugee woman who walked for days and was tired and went through all these horrific experiences and ended in Europe on a beach, where the first thing she saw was a woman in a very fancy bikini sucking on vanilla ice cream. And I was staring at her. No, how do I put that so that the audience feel the whole range of emotion? And the way I work then is more monologues, or make them more vocal. Yeah. Make them really more vocal, monologues, poetry, and give them all these emotions. So, and I think it's very satisfying for a writer when you really want these authentic characters and you have them walking through the audience and you hear the audience gasp or looking away because they're uncomfortable. And I think then you've achieved it.
Yeah.
Then you have achieved this whole emotional range. When it comes to, because theater is my first love, that's where I started. When I started writing the series, the web series, where I wanted to write African women's stories that I will talk about later, but I realized my characters need to be less vocal. They have to rely on what's happening around them. I have to make them more open for the experiences of the other characters around them. And this was for me the change. I did not change the way I put this character together.
Yeah.
I just used the tools of the trade, putting them in front of the camera or in a space where there is something. But I did not change the core, that they are multidimensional, they come from a specific place, they portray that world that they are coming out of, and they learn from each other. And this is, I think, the difference that I had. I just want to say also with theater, I find it very important to sort of workshop the characters with the actors, because if you take actors from a certain environment, then they come with something.
Yeah.
And then I cannot stand there like a judge and a jury and say this has to be like this has to be like this, because we are sitting there to get something authentic.
Yeah.
And this is, I like it.
And also with theater, you get the reaction from the audience right
you
away.
You get it
so
immediately, and that's
yeah.
why I always want to have this whole range of emotions immediately there.
So
and you can see, oh, this was really good.
But then, just the difference, because you do theater and then you do web series, so that means you already know your audience because you get the direct reaction, and then when you go to web series, you already know there is an audience.
There is an audience, and I think the thing is also, if you set out to write for specific group, for specific audience, then you're sort of trained with it. And
wow.
that's it,
yeah. No, time is moving. I thought like, sorry guys, I'm having some. Yeah. You did tell me that. Okay, Caroline, you've been involved in high profile. Now I have to rush because he's rushing me. No, but Caroline, you've been involved in high-profile project, both in Europe and Africa. But so if we want to be specific, in German and Kenya, can you tell me a little bit more about your recent film? That's an Oscar entry?
Yes.
The journey.
So Naui was a project that we've been working for, I don't know, I think we started in 2017, so it's quite the journey. And back then we got approached from an African NGO, and they asked us, they specifically asked two of our directors to make a movie in the Turkana region. Even people who've been to Kenya usually do not know the Turkana region, which is very sad. We try to change that.
Okay.
And so we then we tried to find a way to do that, because we had two German directors, and we knew that we didn't know what to make out of that and how to do anything, and how to properly tell a story. And so we started out with a short story competition.
Yeah.
With the topic Stories of Africa's Future, and I personally thought that there would be a lot of science fiction stuff coming up and people going crazy because there was a Wakanda high time.
Yeah.
And then in the end we ended up with, I think, 40% of the stories we got were about child marriage. And so we thought this is probably the story that a lot of people want to tell, and the winning story that Milka, our author, then wrote, that was the story that we took for Naui. So it's a young girl who's very clever, who wants to go to school, and has huge dreams for a future, and then her parents decide that she has to get married.
And that's Naui is the one that's an Oscar entry. But okay, since we have a short time, and I need to have your final thoughts. But was it shot in Kenya?
Yes, it was shot in Kenya, in the Turkana region.
It was? Okay, wow. I want to hear more about it, but I guess we have to do that afterwards. So, any last thoughts? Oscar Michieaux, he was the one who pushing the boundaries for independent filmmaking. So do you guys have any motivation for upcoming filmmakers to push boundaries when it comes to stereotypes? I'm sorry if I'm like cutting you all fast, but we don't have enough time. But something positive for our upcoming filmmakers to push boundaries and stereotypes. Let's start with you. It was a long time ago, I heard.
No, to me, even when I was I've been working in this industry for 30 years, and when I started...
You were 7.
Yeah,
when you started, you were 7.
Exactly. And I get really depressed hearing how little has been done since then. We have gotten a bit, further than then, but still, we shouldn't be having these discussions.
Yeah.
I think many people kind of portray diversity and inclusion as a political edict that lays on top of creativity and stifles it. And I just want to say that for me, being creative is being diverse. That's what we're doing. We're searching the search space of possible stories, endless stories. Yeah. And if we keep telling the same stories with the same faces and the same voices, that's not creative, that's reproductive.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So, so I'm just sad that we're still having these discussions. Because, I've heard them in every decade. No. I'm getting old, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. No, I totally agree with you, and thank you. And but let's hit that positive note.
Yeah.
I think what it is also is that we have to demand that it isn't so. We can't play along anymore. I think that's a choice that we have as creators and artists, is to not play along and actually just say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
right?
No, I totally agree with you. And I also think the audience, the new age audience, the region a lot of people are losing audience, especially the public TV, is because of different platforms. And everybody want to see themselves, so they already have their curriculum set in their multi-platform. So they are already demanding from us. They want more transparency. So we need to have a diversity. So I think the verb of diversity need to be changed. That's what I think. Apparently, now I talked. So over to you, Caroline, and Naomi afterwards.
So I think what independent cinema has to do is kind of push boundaries that mainstream cinema cannot do. Because in the huge Hollywood productions you always have, it's about huge budgets. I remember 5 years ago we had a meeting with a sales, we were packaging a movie and they told us, no, you cannot, for one of the main characters, you cannot have a black actor there because then it's not going to sell in China and we need the money. And we were like, what? Yeah. And I think that's...
they need to study the audience, what's audience watching.
Yes, and that's that's a money thing, but you're have to... don't want to listen to things like that. And I think it's important to have to know that, this is a decision that people make when it's $1 million projects. But still, if you're the person who can decide, I think it's important to just stand up for that, to be behind that and say, no, we need to make that, and I believe in that movie, and we get it funded no matter if we get money from that specific region or something. And you have to start there, and it's to make that visible, to prove that. Then
there is a statistic for it now. There is a statistic when it comes to that, so we don't even have to argue. We can just look at the statistic.
Yes.
So just prove. Yeah.
But
it's hard.
People just have to do that and just have to be like, no. Even if we make the project and it's our movie, and then you just push that, and then people will see, and then probably in 10 years. No one's going to say that again.
No, I hope not.
I think it's important to encourage the younger filmmakers to not get despaired by what's happening around them. I think it's the first thing we have to do is to give them the feeling of the courage of the story that I'm telling is mine, and I don't need the big money. I don't need the big company, like he said. It is you. If you burn for it, then do it. Yeah. And I think this is the first thing we have to tell the young filmmakers. This is the tool we have to give them. If you burn for something, then do it. Yeah. Don't wait. Because I think it is very important to say that, because young people, I think, will get discouraged about what's around them these days. Yeah. It's the big money makers, it's the big gatekeepers who's putting it out there, and then they say, oh, I can't do this. Mine is too small. Yeah. And I think this is the first thing, before we even start thinking about telling them what to do, I think we have to give them the courage to say, my story is important, I want to do it.
Oh, you're the best. You're all the best. Thank you so much. Thank you. We have actually, thank you. We have actually 5 more minutes for the audience. Yeah, he just told me that now. So do we have questions? Yeah, we was rushing here.
Any question in the audience? So I'm going to have a question of my own, if it makes sense. All right. So my question is for everybody in this panel. I guess that all of you know who is OSCAR MICHEAUX, all right? Who is kind of one of the first diverse independent filmmaker. What does it, mean to you? For example, you, Baker, you, my bad, Caroline, and you, Naomi. What does it mean to you?
I mean, as an independent filmmaking, pushing the boundaries, stereotypically.
Yeah, as an independent filmmaker, I think it's important to push through all the boundaries, all the structures, the institutions, what you're dealing with as a filmmaker. Me, myself, in Germany, I really had to fight to push against all these structures, to just being recognized as an African woman standing there having a voice. And I think it's important that we, like Oscar, pave the way for something like that for the younger people, like I said before. They have to know that what I do independently is not bad, even though it's just a little group of people seeing it. Like he said, there's one person who watched it and who loved it.
You give it energy.
Yeah, and then I think it's all about the energy.
Yeah.
It's the energy you're giving to these people to make their films.
Yeah.
And if we sit there and say, "Oh, I don't want to change," I was looking at my notes the whole time, and I thought, when I started, because of this pushing and trying to have my voice out there, I got sick. I wanted to give up. I didn't know where to go. I started trusting the wrong people, all those things. But then at the end, if you burn for something, then you're definitely going to stand up and do it.
Yeah.
And no matter what. Even if I have to get up 5 times and I don't have a house to sell, but eat bread every day, but this is where I come from.
Yeah.
I really also, the stories I do is because I love them. Because I think African women in this country does not have the voice on the TV, and that is why I started it. And this whole gender problems, but I also wanted to say is, through my films, I think you have to show these people that they can be survivors. Forget about being a victim, because that is not what we are. This is what I want to say.
Yeah. We love you. Carol.
I think it's one thing for younger filmmakers to know or to develop is like their own voice and their own style, and to find the stories that they themselves want to tell, because doing a project you spend years and years of your life with, from the idea till the shooting, till the movie's done. That's like at least, I don't know, 5 years. And I think it's important to not try to match expectations of other people. I think it's important to match your own expectation. And this is something that's very easily said, but to be in the situation, to feel like, or to find out what is the story I'm burning for, what is my handwriting as a filmmaker, I think this is very difficult to do, and it's very amazing to see someone just do that and have that voice and the confidence.
To trust yourself.
To trust yourself, yes. And so I hope that all the young filmmakers who are here today and who see this, it can take a while, but take your time, and you will manage. And
thanks, that was good.
Well, Well, my wife keeps telling me that I have a huge privilege in life because I've almost always known what I wanted to do, and I've always had a passion for it, and there's nothing that can stop me from doing that thing. And she's like, not everybody has that vigor. Like, you have something that you need to do, and you'll go through fire to do it. And I think having that type of creativity or drive, expect obstacles, expect the world to not let you in. And, we are living in fucked up times right now.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
And fucked up times are the base for creative people. Because now we realize that we've been lied to. OSCAR MICHEAUX, nobody knows about. They've whitewashed that. Plenty of female filmmakers that have been, erased from history. Plenty of, LGBTQ people who've done immense contributions to film, gone, right? That's what we do then as creatives. We find those stories, the voices unheard, the stories untold, the perspectives unseen.
Yeah.
And worse the world looks, the more we have to work. But that's our job. That's what we're doing as creatives.
True.
And so if you have that drive, go ahead. It's not going to be easy, but do it.
That's very true. And I just want to add something when it comes to inspiration and also energy and also to motivation. I mean, being Swedish, Afro-Swedish, I mean, you and your brother, I mean, you inspire me. You give me the motivation. So even though maybe that age is not that much, maybe 10 or 30.
More. I'm 20 years old.
Okay.
30 years
no,
old.
but still, you inspire me a lot. And I want to thank you for that. And you still inspire me. Thank you. So I think that was it. I made it. We made it. Thank you. Thank you.
You made it very great. Thank you very much. That was really inspiring. Thank you very much to our host, Filson Ali, and also